Have you ever quietly wondered, is a nursing home really my only choice? You're not alone. In fact, nearly 70% of older adults in the US say they would rather stay in their own homes than move into a facility. But the reality is, many feel trapped by rising costs, declining health, and fear of being alone. Meet Lauren, a 76-year-old retired nurse who found herself at that exact crossroads after a fall left her shaken and uncertain. Her children lived far away, and the thought of losing her independence filled her with dread. But instead of settling for a nursing home, Lauren found a better way. And so can you. In this video, we'll explore 6 powerful alternatives to nursing homes that are not only more affordable, but also offer greater peace of mind, personal freedom, and real human connection. These options are based on senior living alternatives that promote independence, safety, and emotional well-being. From aging in place with smart support to co-housing communities full of life, each path brings dignity back to aging. Please tap like if you value your freedom, subscribe for more elder wisdom, and leave a comment sharing where you feel most at peace. Let's begin with hope, not fear. Number 1. Aging in place. Your home, your rules. Would you rather grow older in the comfort of your own home, surrounded by your memories, than in a sterile room where the walls feel like strangers? That was the quiet question Lauren asked herself after she slipped in her kitchen one evening. Nothing broke, but something inside her shifted. She had always been strong, fiercely independent, the one who raised 2 sons on her own, worked full-time as a nurse, and never asked anyone for help. But now at 76, with her children living states away and her knees no longer steady, she felt a soft fear she had never known before. Still, she wasn't ready to give up her space, her garden, or the smell of the old cedar chest that still held her mother's quilt. What she needed wasn't a nursing home, it was a smarter way to stay right where she was. Lauren began by doing something many seniors avoid. She asked for help. A local nonprofit sent a home safety consultant to walk through her house with her. Together, they installed grab bars in the bathroom, added motion sensor lights in the hallway, and replaced her kitchen rug with non-slip flooring. Her stairs were tricky, but a small stair lift was more affordable than she thought. Most importantly, she subscribed to a medical alert system, just in case. A single button worn around her neck gave her peace of mind she hadn't felt in years. But Lauren didn't stop there. Her hands had grown stiff with arthritis, making it harder to cook and clean. So twice a week, a caregiver named Mia came to help with groceries, light cleaning, and making sure Lauren had a warm meal and a gentle smile. The cost? Less than a week's stay in a nursing home. And unlike a facility, Lauren still woke up to the sounds she loved. The birds at her window, the creak of the floor in the hallway, the scent of her morning coffee brewed just how she liked it. What made aging in place work for Lauren wasn't just the safety upgrades or the practical support. It was the feeling that she still had control over her life. She could wake when she pleased, eat what she wanted, and sit in her favorite chair by the window to read or simply think. That freedom, she said, was the difference between surviving and actually living. Many older adults feel the same. According to national studies, nearly 90% of seniors want to age in place, yet many give up the idea because they fear they'll be a burden or can't afford the adjustments. But the truth is, with small, smart steps, aging in place can be safer, more affordable, and deeply fulfilling. For Lauren, the most surprising part was how little it took to feel safe again. Her sense of dignity returned not from grand changes, but from thoughtful, quiet ones. And the best part? She didn't have to let go of her independence to feel supported. She kept her space, her routine, her dignity, and a bit of pride too, because she had built a life where she felt strong, not forgotten. If you were in Lauren's shoes, would you make the same choice? Would you rather stay in the home where you've laughed, cried, raised children, and grown wiser? Or give it up for a place that doesn't know your name? Aging in place isn't just about staying put. It's about staying connected to who you are, to what you love, and to the life you've earned. Let us know in the comments, if home could be safer, would you stay? Number 2, living with family. close but independent. What if living with your children didn't mean losing your space or your say? What if it meant gaining purpose again, without giving up privacy? That's the choice Lauren once hesitated to make. A few months after her fall, her youngest son, Brian, called from Arizona. He offered for her to move in. "We'll build you a small place in the backyard, Mom," he said. "You'll have your own space, we just want you close." Lauren loved the idea in theory, but in her heart she feared becoming a burden. She remembered how busy Brian's life had always been. 2 kids, a full-time job, and a never-ending list of responsibilities. Would she be in the way? Would she lose her independence and feel like a guest in her own family? Lauren wasn't alone in this fear. Many older adults, especially those who've spent a lifetime being the caregiver, struggle with the idea of receiving help, even from family. But when she flew out to visit and saw the space Brian had in mind, a converted garage with its own entrance, a kitchenette, a small garden patch just for her, something in her softened. He wasn't taking over. He was making room. And it made all the difference. Brian and his wife sat down with Lauren and talked through everything. They set simple boundaries: when to knock, what shared expenses could look like, and how they'd handle meals and time together. Brian even joked that she could take over reading bedtime stories to his kids if she wanted, and she did. She found joy again in small, unexpected things: baking banana bread for the grandkids, sharing old stories from her nursing days, watering her plants in the morning sun while listening to bird song in a yard that echoed with laughter. She wasn't just living there. She was part of something again. This setup worked because Lauren still had her own door to close, her own schedule to follow, and her own world to retreat into when she needed quiet. She wasn't being taken care of. She was contributing, emotionally, practically, financially. That shift mattered, and for many families, it's a path that works beautifully when approached with honesty and care. Living with family is growing, again in the United States, especially among Latino, Asian, and middle-income households. It's not just cultural, it's practical. The cost of assisted living can easily reach thousands of dollars a month. In contrast, converting a garage or adding a tiny home often costs far less and offers a solution grounded in love, not obligation. Of course, it takes effort. Expectations must be clear. Privacy must be honored. Responsibilities should be shared. But when done right, this option can offer older adults something that many long for more than anything else: to feel useful, included, and connected. Lauren told me later, "I used to worry I'd be in the way, but now I tuck my grandkids in at night, help with dinner, and still have my quiet mornings with my coffee and journal. I didn't lose freedom. I gained family." So I ask you gently, if you had the chance to live close to your children without losing your space, would you take it? Would you trade the silence of isolation for the noise of belonging? If your family offered a thoughtful space and a chance to be needed again, would that feel like coming home? Let us know in the comments. Would you consider living with family if it meant keeping your purpose while gaining peace? Number 3, at-home care with technology and community services. The smart senior life. What if you could stay exactly where you are, in the home you love, but still have the support you need, without depending entirely on family or facing the high cost of assisted living? That's the question Lauren asked herself after her second near fall, this time while reaching for something in the pantry. Her confidence was shaken again. She wasn't ready for a nursing home and she didn't want to disrupt her son's household, but being alone felt riskier than it used to. One evening, while watching a program on senior wellness, she heard about community care networks, smart devices, and part-time help supported by Medicaid. That night, she began researching. Lauren started with a local aging services agency that helped her apply for community-based support. Within 2 weeks, she had someone coming 3 times a week to help with personal care and light cooking. She also qualified for meal delivery through Meals on Wheels, which brought healthy, hot food to her doorstep, for the first time in a long while. She wasn't worrying about what to eat or how to get groceries. It didn't just nourish her body, it brought peace to her mind. But what changed everything for Lauren was technology. Her son gifted her a set of smart home tools, a voice-activated speaker that controlled her lights and thermostat, a motion-activated camera at the front door, and a wearable emergency button that worked even in the shower. She could turn off the lights from bed, call for help with a single word, and check who was at the door without moving from her chair. Even her medical appointments became easier. Through telehealth, she spoke with her doctor by video, reviewed her prescriptions and discussed her symptoms without leaving the house. The beauty of this setup was how seamlessly it fit into her life. There was no big move, no unfamiliar caregivers poking around at all hours. Everything was designed to respect her independence while quietly supporting her safety. Even the technology, which once felt intimidating, soon became her ally. She could call her grandchildren with one sentence, play her favorite music hands-free, or send a message to her neighbor in seconds. What used to feel overwhelming now felt empowering. Lauren's story isn't rare. More and more older adults are discovering that staying independent doesn't mean staying alone. With a combination of smart devices, remote medical care, and part-time in-home help, seniors are choosing to remain where they feel most themselves, at home. And thanks to Medicaid waivers and non-profit programs, the cost is often far less than people assume. The key is asking early and planning ahead. For Lauren, the shift was emotional as much as practical. She told me one afternoon, "I don't feel like I'm waiting for something bad to happen anymore. I feel in control again, and I didn't have to leave my living room to get there." That quiet kind of strength, of being supported without being watched, of being safe without being restricted, is what so many seniors want but don't realize they can have. So let me ask you, if the right technology and community support could keep you in your home longer, with comfort and dignity, would you explore it? Would you welcome a little help, if it meant holding on to your rhythm, your chair by the window, your morning coffee just the way you like it? Leave a comment and let us know. What part of the home would you fight to keep? Number 4. Senior co-housing. Together but free. Have you heard of senior co-housing, where older adults live near one another not because they have to, but because they choose to? Lauren hadn't. Not until her friend Carol, a retired librarian in her early 70s, invited her for lunch at a nearby co-housing community. At first, Lauren hesitated. She pictured tight schedules, forced socializing, and a loss of privacy. But when she stepped into Carol's unit, a light-filled one-bedroom with her own garden patio, something shifted. It wasn't what she expected. It felt like home. As they ate together in the shared dining hall that day, Lauren noticed the rhythm of the place. Some residents sat reading by themselves. Others played cards quietly in a corner. A group was cooking together for the evening meal, laughing like old friends. No one was forced to do anything, but everyone had the chance to connect. Carol explained how the community worked. Each person had their own fully private unit, but they shared resources like laundry rooms, gardens, and a common kitchen. There were weekly meetings, rotating meal duties, and spontaneous walks to the park. It was like having neighbors who genuinely looked out for each other, without the pressure of caregiving or the restrictions of a facility. Lauren was surprised to learn that many of the residents had downsized from larger homes, not because they had to, but because they wanted to trade square footage for community. Some, like Margaret, had been widowed for years and longed for daily interaction. Others, like Joe, simply didn't want to age in isolation. And then there were people like Carol who said, "I wanted to know someone would notice if I didn't come to breakfast." What struck Lauren most was how natural it felt. No medical staff in uniforms, no institutional walls, just people in the same season of life, creating structure without control, intimacy without intrusion. The cost? Far lower than a nursing home or assisted living facility. By sharing expenses, utilities, maintenance, food, they reduced the financial burden and still enjoyed autonomy. Many even owned their units through a cooperative model, which gave them a voice in every decision made. For Lauren, who had always been a bit of an introvert, the thought of moving into a place with so much interaction felt overwhelming at first. But Carol gently reminded her, "You choose your level of connection. You can eat alone or with friends. You can garden in silence or join a book club. Nothing is mandatory, but everything is possible. That freedom struck a chord. After months of worrying about her isolation, Lauren realized what she had missed wasn't just conversation. It was the quiet comfort of being around others who understood. No one judged her for moving slower now. No one rushed her thoughts. There was dignity in that kind of companionship. She didn't decide right away. But for the first time, she felt there might be a middle ground between total independence and total care. A space where she could belong, yet breathe, where she could laugh again without having to explain why she lived alone. And maybe that was the most healing part of all. So have you ever imagined a place where you could live on your own terms, while being surrounded by people who walk the same road you do? Would you consider a co-housing community if it gave you both privacy and presence? Let us know gently. What would make you feel less alone, yet still free? Number 5. Home sharing. 2 lives, 1 roof. What if opening your door to someone younger could help you stay independent longer and bring unexpected joy along the way? That was the surprising path Lauren's friend Margaret chose after years of living alone in her 3-bedroom home. Her children had moved away, her husband had passed, and though her health was steady, the silence had begun to feel heavier with each season. The bills were growing, the house still needed care. But it was the emotional weight of eating alone, of sleeping in silence, that had become harder to carry than any box of groceries. That's when a local non-profit told her about a program called home sharing. At first, Margaret thought it was just another word for taking in a tenant, but it was more than that. It was connection, with boundaries. Through a guided process, she was matched with Ella, a 27-year-old nursing student who needed a safe, quiet place to live during her clinical rotations. The organization had interviewed both of them, conducted background checks and facilitated a trial visit. Within 2 weeks, Margaret's guest room had a new occupant, and Margaret's life had a new rhythm. Ella helped with light cleaning, picked up groceries, and joined Margaret for tea most evenings. They didn't live on top of each other. They lived side by side, with mutual respect, shared responsibilities, and a kindness that bridged their age gap. Lauren had visited once, curious. She had always assumed that living alone was the price of freedom. But watching Margaret and Ella laugh over soup, seeing the small warmth return to Margaret's routine, it challenged that belief. It planted a seed. Months later, when Lauren's cousin offered to help her join a similar program in her area, she didn't hesitate. Her guest, Jasmine, was a quiet art student who helped with errands and brought a fresh kind of energy into Lauren's life. It wasn't loud, it wasn't demanding, but it felt like company, like reassurance. Someone else is in the house. A soft footstep, a gentle check-in, a quiet anchor. The beauty of home sharing is that it doesn't require a drastic change. You stay in your home, in your rhythm, in your familiar bed, but you also gain presence, someone else to water the plants if you forget, to hear if something falls, to laugh with over dinner now and then. And in return, that person receives something deeply valuable, a place of trust, of safety, of belonging. For many younger adults facing the high cost of rent, this arrangement is a lifeline. For seniors, it's a bridge away from isolation and toward gentle interdependence. Financially, it's one of the simplest ways to ease the burden. Utility costs drop, grocery runs become shared, repairs are less daunting with help, but the deeper value lies in dignity. You're not being cared for. You're choosing to share space, share life, and build quiet companionship on your own terms. Lauren later said, "It's strange. I didn't realize how much I missed the sound of another human in the house until it came back." And in that single sentence was a reminder. We are not meant to age in silence. We are meant to age with stories, with voices nearby, with the quiet courage to say, "Come in." I have room for one more story here. Would you consider home sharing if it meant staying in your home longer, with comfort, companionship, and control? Would you open your door if it meant opening your life again, just a little? Let us know what kind of presence you would welcome, if not now, perhaps one day soon. Number 6. Adult foster care. A second family without the facility. What if you could receive the daily care you need without living in an institution, without fluorescent lights, long hallways, and strangers in white uniforms? What if care could feel like home? That was the question Lauren kept circling in. Her mind, after a short hospital stay, left her needing help with bathing, dressing, and managing her medications. She didn't want to stay in rehab. She didn't want to move into a nursing facility, even temporarily. She wanted warmth, familiarity, a face she could trust. That's when her doctor mentioned something she'd never heard of: adult foster care. Lauren imagined it might be like being placed in someone else's life, a guest in a stranger's routine. But the reality was something gentler. A program in her state matched her with a certified caregiver named Nancy, a retired home health nurse who had turned part of her house into a small living space for seniors like Lauren. The room was quiet, with soft light, bookshelves filled with well-loved novels, and a window that looked out on a small garden. Nancy only cared for 2 adults at a time. It wasn't loud. It wasn't crowded. It was personal. The first thing Lauren noticed was how unrushed everything felt. She was helped, not handled. Her morning routines remained hers. Nancy prepared breakfast, helped her with her medications, and gave her time. Time to move slowly, to speak fully, to feel human. There was another resident there too, Edith, a retired teacher who spent most afternoons reading on the porch. They didn't talk much at first, but that changed. Over shared meals and small gestures, they became a quiet comfort to each other. Not friends in the way youth defines it, but companions on a road only age understands. Adult foster care, Lauren realized, wasn't about giving up independence. It was about gaining supported dignity. It provided the structure she needed without the pressure of an institution. Meals were home-cooked. Medication reminders came with conversation. Showers were assisted with respect, not routine. And at night, the house didn't echo with machines. It breathed quietly, like a home. Many states offer financial support through Medicaid for adult foster care, making it significantly more affordable than a traditional nursing home. For seniors on fixed incomes, this model bridges the gap between needing help and maintaining a life worth waking up to. It's especially helpful for those who don't have family nearby or whose medical needs are steady but not complex. The model works because it centers around the relationship. Fewer people, familiar faces, a rhythm that mirrors real life, not a medical chart. Lauren stayed with Nancy for 3 months while she recovered. When she returned to her own home, she spoke often about that time, not as a step backward, but as a chapter that restored her. It reminded her that support didn't have to feel clinical, that needing help didn't erase her strength, that, even in vulnerability, there is still deep value in being seen, known, and treated with care that feels like kindness. So, if one day your body needs more than you alone can give, would you consider living in a place that still feels like home, even if it's not your own? Could a small, warm house with someone who cares be a better fit than a cold hallway of call buttons and schedules? If you had to choose between care and connection, what would matter most to you? Share your thoughts gently in the comments. Your words may guide someone else who's quietly looking for a second family too. Aging doesn't have to mean giving up control, connection, or peace. As we've seen through Lauren's journey, there are better options than nursing homes, ones that protect your dignity, restore your independence, and keep you rooted in the places and people you love. From aging in place with smart safety tools, to sharing your home or joining a co-housing community, every choice you make can bring more meaning, more calm, and more life into your later years. These solutions aren't just affordable, they're deeply human. If any of these ideas spoke to your heart, or if you found your own way to age gracefully and independently, we'd love to hear from you. Share your story in the comments. It might inspire someone else. And if you believe in living with purpose even as the years go on, please like this video and subscribe for more elder wisdom and practical insight. You deserve a future built on freedom, not fear. Let's walk that road together.